and welcome back to the Wellbeing Portal podcast, where today I have a real treat for you. Yvonne King is an amazing expert, not only with healing your gut, and she has an amazing story herself about how she healed her own self, lost a huge amount of weight, and really restored herself to become fully regenerated and a superpower today that she wants to share with everyone. But she also is amazingly talented with essential oils. And that's something in our office, in our daily work life, where we can actually really use to enhance us, where you don't need to change a thing. So today, Yvonne is here to give you some tips and tricks and amazing insights into how you can take essential oils and bring it into your office or bring it into your workplace to help with your morning energy, your afternoon dips, and all of the things that you may be feeling, kind of create, in a way, a lesser version of who you could be. And it can be as easy as having the right essential oils around you. So Yvonne really incorporates essential oils into all of her practice, and it's been something that she personally has used to restore her own health. And her brands, or she'll be able to talk to you more about the essential oils herself and the specifics of what an essential oil is and the quality and the difference, because that's also fundamental to actually being able to, to use oils in the right way, is just knowing what to look out for and what is good and what is not. So thank you so much, Yvonne, for coming on the show today. And I need to learn myself actually about essential oils, because I think there's so much that people need to realize about oils that they can use in their daily life. And so, Yvonne, welcome to the show. I just realized I've still got Yvonne on mute, so she can't say anything.
That's okay.
Hang on. There we go. You're no longer on mute. You can talk.
Well, it was good that I was off for a second, because the dog all of a sudden decided to stretch, right, and made some grumbling noises. But I'm excited to be here. Hopefully she is going to be nice and quiet while we're on our call today. So
oh, good. Well, if she does a few barks, then she can make her contribution to her.
Yeah. She uses oils too. We'll just put some keys and calming on her and let it go away.
Exactly. Well, I'm supposed there must be oils for dogs. I'm sure that it must work for calming dogs as well. But
yeah, actually, one of the oils we're going to talk about today is one of the oils that we like the best for our dog. We have 3 that she responds the best for. She has some anxiety issues, especially around fireworks and things, and so we use the oils with her for that all the time.
How cool. Okay,
yeah.
So we were here actually initially to thinking about how we can use essential oils to enhance our working day, but actually that's quite valid, because nowadays a lot of people actually bring their pets to work, so you could have a 2-in-1.
Yeah. And there's just, there's a lot of misinformation out there about essential oils, and people make it so much more complicated than it needs to be. And it really isn't that complicated. Gary Young, the founder of Young Living, when people ask him what to do with the oils, he says, you go like this, you open the bottle and then you smell it and then you close the bottle. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We make things far more complicated than they need to be.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, actually, because of you today, Yvonne, I have to say, my husband, unfortunately, about 3 weeks ago, we got guinea pigs because my daughter's rabbit got foxed. And so we swiftly went out and she replaced them the next day with guinea pigs. And what we didn't realize is that my husband had a severe allergic reaction to the hay that they had to eat, and he hasn't recovered. And it was so funny, because this morning I woke up and I thought, I'm speaking to Yvonne today about essential oils at work. And suddenly I thought, how could have I had a diffuser in my house that I often use. How could have I had eucalyptus from Australia in my house as an essential oil and not thought of actually putting it in his office when he's working from home? So I'm conducting a current experiment to see how he wakes up tomorrow morning after having had the eucalyptus infusion the entire day as a diffuser. And then I'm going to put it on tonight as well. So there you go. That's just another little, that's a little side note about what you can do in the office with your essential oils and still have 10 meetings a day and not change the thing.
I was gonna get into that later on too, but the thing is, so many different oils have different purposes, right? And so when people say, well, what oil should I use? My first question is, well, what oil do you have? Right? Because it doesn't do you any good if you have to wait for a month for it to arrive or go to uptown to the store or anything like that, right? Whatever you have in your house, try that first, because it's amazing how cross reactive they are, and they can help with something that might be intended for digestive issues can totally help you with other things as well, right? And so just try what you have. My favorite one for seasonal issues like that, because I used to have a lot of seasonal issues, is lavender, lemon, and peppermint. You just put equal drops in the diffuser, and that one has always been my go-to. It's just love it.
Wow, I love that. Lavender, lemon, and peppermint.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to do that one straight away for him. Well, I haven't got them all, but I'll have to go and get them. So that's brilliant. And so as you can see, everyone, Yvonne knows a lot of stuff. I want to find out quickly from you, Yvonne, before we go into, what Yvonne's going to talk about today about, morning kind of lunch and post when you have the energy dip and what some really great base oils can be. But how did you even get into oils? What's your story?
Well, actually, it's about my dog, because I first heard about essential oils because I had this bug spray for our dog. She's a hound, and we were taking her to do tracker training where she could learn how to find us hidden in the forest and stuff like this. And he told us not to use standard bug spray on him because it would actually destroy permanently, could even damage her ability to smell. And so not to use that. So we bought this little bottle of stuff from him, and it ran out. And I think that him and his wife might have got separated, and so they wasn't available anymore. And I was trying to figure out how to make it. So I was going to the health food store and getting some oils. And then I started, researching other ways because I couldn't find everything that was in it and that kind of thing. And I started playing around making bug sprays. And then a friend told me about Young Living. And she said, we have that, what you're looking for, because I couldn't find it anywhere, right? We have that and a whole bunch of other kinds. There's tons. We have hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of oils. And so I started playing with them. And then I realized that they actually had therapeutic values, and that it could actually help me therapeutically, not just with bugs or with smell pretty, right? There was so many more uses, and more importantly, those things could make permanent health, help me with my permanent health issues, into getting things back in check and getting my body more balanced.
Wow, that is so cool. So it started with the dog. At that stage, did your essential oil journey come before your gut health journey? Because Yvonne, for everyone to know, she kind of started her whole self-rejuvenation and becoming her own superpower, like in about 2015. Is that correct? And so now that's about 6 or 7 years later. But everything happens in steps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it actually happened very close to almost at the same time. Because literally my Young Living kit had come within days of my first appointment with my naturopath. And as it happens, I don't think anything happens by accident, but my leader in Young Living, she, seen my name pop up in her organization. And so she asked if it was okay if she sent me some information about healthy living. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, that'd be great. And stuff she was sending me was basically the same kind of information as what I was getting from my naturopath. So I started digging into it and looking into what is with this toxin stuff. Like, is it really that bad? I mean, it's in everything. It can't be that bad. Like their government is taking care of this, right? Like, we have all these rules in the world, right? That our government doesn't allow this, that, and the next thing. Well, those are there for our health, right? Yeah, I didn't realize. Right? And maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Maybe there's a little other things in play there. But I just assumed that if it was available in the store, it was safe for us to use, right? And it started digging into all of that because the questionnaires that the naturopath was giving me and the stuff Carla was sending me, it all just aligned. And so you kind of had to get that light bulb slap you across the face kind of moment. Like, well, there must be something to this. Maybe I should look at this a little more if there's this many people saying this, right?
See, that's interesting because you actually got the same information from two different perspectives. And just off air before we started this recording, Yvonne and I were talking, and we've kind of got sidetracked before we even get into it. But I personally think this is really interesting, so I just want to talk about it anyway. Is how often you get information, but in order for it to actually resonate and you want to absorb it and take it in, you need to hear it from multiple sources. So that's actually super interesting that you basically had a similar message being given to you from two different angles. And now you've actually taken the two different angles of your gut, revive like knowledge and then the essential oils and integrated them into your practice, both of them.
Yeah, because they really all go together, right?
Yeah.
It's really quite amazing because what we put on our skin and what we eat affects our microbiome, right? And it's all about learning to understand what the microbiome is, which just means it's a fancy word for meaning the good and bad bacteria that are in our body, not just in our digestive system, because we have it in all of our cavities as well. But it's understanding that those aren't something we need to eradicate. In our society, we're anti-bacteria this and anti-bacteria that, and we're so against bacteria because bacteria is bad. That's what causes disease, right? No, we need these bacteria. We're 10 times more bacteria in our bodies than there is human cells. And most of them are there for a purpose. Even the bad guys have a purpose in our life. And then we need them. We can't get rid of them 100%. We just need them to be in the right percentage and the right ratio to the good guys, so the good guys can do their job.
It's basically like your kids. You just need them to respect your rules and the things that are important, your values and things that are important to you, and then everything lives in harmony.
Well, and if you trap them down so much, you would trap them from becoming who they are and showing their personality, right? And we don't want that. We want their personalities to still grow, right? We don't want to put them in a box and protect them so much that they can never grow and learn and become the human beings we want them to become.
Which is exactly why bosses, business owners, and CEOs need to be able to empower their people and the employees so they can grow as well and feel free. It's exactly the same thing. Kids, employees, employers, the whole thing. So let's get down to the kind of some of the like really key facts that can help people. So if I am a busy working person, if let's just presuming I'm obviously not out of the field, I'm basing myself in an office, whether that office is at home at my kitchen table or whether that office is in an office setting, with however many other colleagues, it doesn't matter. What it comes down to is what does actually an infusion do? And then secondly, what is a good, let's start the day. I've just had my coffee. I've started my morning and I've just sat down at my desk, and what can I do in terms of essential oils to maximize my potential? But also, secondly, why wouldn't I just put it on my temples or put it on my skin? What are the differences between putting it physically on your skin or on your body or having a diffuser?
The most common ways to use essential oils are, like I said, diffusing and topically, so putting them on your skin. So in terms of the efficiency rate, putting in the diffuser is by far more efficient because it gets into our capillaries, into our lungs, and into our blood system really, really fast that way, right? A little faster than if it's on the skin. But the skin, again, it doesn't take very long either when it's in your blood system, and it takes within a minute, it's in every cell of your body. But the thing is, some people can react to stuff on their skin. And so they might have more sensitive skin. It could be that they have, you don't really have an allergy to true essential oils because there's nothing there. There's no proteins. You need to have a protein to have an allergy reaction, right? But people can still get a bit of a rash. And sometimes that's a little scary for them. And it's a lot about education and understanding what's happening and why the rash is happening, which is very simple. You can just dilute them with coconut oil, or sesame seed oil, or I like coconut oil just because it doesn't go rancid like other oils do. Mm-hmm. And you can just dilute it until you know for sure that you don't have a reaction to it for yourself. So the simplest way is to just put it in the diffuser. And earlier we're talking about pets. That's the easiest way for pets too, is just to put it in the diffuser because they'll absorb it straight through their fur. So that's the simplest, but not everybody has a diffuser. So you can use any kind of a natural, like I often wear a leather necklace or bracelet, and you can use it on anything natural. So like a canvas, leather, jute, anything that's a natural, because if it's synthetics, well, then it'll create a chemical reaction that we don't want. But anything natural you can use as a diffuser. So a lot of times when I'm going away, if I'm driving, I'll wear my leather bracelets and stuff like that. That way I can put the oils on my body and wear them just like I would a perfume or cologne. But every time I move around, I can smell it. And also I use the chest as a diffuser a lot, because when it doesn't take long when your temperature is up, if you're stressed, if you're driving, or even if you're doing like yoga or something like that, I'll put it on my chest, because then as it heats up, it starts to evaporate, and then I then get more of the aromatherapy from it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. And so let's just say it doesn't matter if you have a diffuser, fantastic. If you don't, then take the advice of what Yvonne says is much better than not using it at all and saying, well, I can't do it because I don't have whatever. That's just a justified excuse. So but let's just say someone is interested in pursuing this and they say, I want to go and get a diffuser. Are they much of a muchness, or do they vary hugely in terms of actually the diffuser themselves?
Well, quality can be different quite a bit sometimes, but sometimes the inexpensive ones don't necessarily mean that they're not a good quality either, right? It all just depends on how they're constructed. All the Young Living, I use all Young Living oils, and they have their own diffusers, of course, and their diffusers are made to make sure that they will withstand to the Young Living's oils, because Young Living's oils are all pure, and so they can be a little stronger than others, which means you don't need as much, right? But also some of the diffusers might not be made to withstand that quality of oil.
Right. Okay. So there's not a specific look for this on a package that will state X of a diffuser. It's just don't go for the real cheapo, because the oil might not be able to be diffused through the filter properly. Is that?
Yeah, the oil will go through the diffuser, but sometimes the type of plastic that they use is usually where the problem is. And essential oils can actually eat plastic, and so we don't want to use plastic any more than necessary. So, and when we do, we want to make sure it's the right grade of plastic, so that we're not getting those B and PBA and PBC and there's all a million right names for those chemicals. We don't want to get that in our bodies, right? Because that's when that puts a lot of extra toxic load on our livers and all of our filtering organs, and we have to filter out all those extra chemicals.
Right. Okay. So that's really interesting. And so getting to the actual, what would be your recommendation of morning essential oils? So just, get up, start the day, pre-lunch.
Yeah, my favorite one is called Valor. It's a blend from Young Living, and it's often called Courage in a Bottle. And so I love to put it on and just wear it as a cologne or perfume in the morning. So I put it on right away. But whenever you are doing something like when your friend asks you to be interviewed on her podcast and you want a little courage, then you can, Valor's awesome for that. A lot of the professional people will keep it in their pockets, for what they're having as speeches, or if they have that really important sales call that they're, with a client that they really have been working with for a while, and they want it to go really well. Valor is fantastic for that. And Just my daughter uses it every day as well, and my nephew used it all the time just to go to school, right? Because
How
sometimes
do you spell the name of the Young Living one? So how do you spell that name? So that is it Valor? Did you say?
Yeah, Valor, VALOR.
OR. Okay, I think that's good because sometimes I hear things in podcasts or different things. Something I caught the name of that, but what was it exactly? So then, if someone wants to go into Young Living and and then they actually can type in that name, morning, maximize your potential, Valor. Okay.
Yeah. And if they go to my website, there is a guide that they can download. It's at yvonneking.ca/win the day. And there's a whole little guide, and it has all the names of the oils that I've talked about today are all in there, plus some others as well. And so another really good one for the morning is frankincense. Frankincense is fantastic. Most people have heard about it, because of the Bible, right? It's been around forever and ever. And the reason it's been around for never and ever, because it works amazing. And any tree oil, which Valor is distilled from the bark of a tree, right? And any tree oil helps to ground us. So when you're starting your day, and you might start with journaling, or maybe you're doing some yoga or some exercising, right? It's nice to just ground yourself. And so any of the tree oils are just fantastic for that. And you can put them in the diffuser. You can wear them on your pulse points as a cologne, or you can just put them on the bottom of your feet. And the bottom of your feet's a great place. So if you don't like the smell of an oil, but you've heard it's going to help with a certain thing that you want to help with, then put them on the bottom of your feet. You can't smell it down there. You're a long ways from here, right? And you don't really smell it, but then you get the therapeutic values of it still.
Yeah, nice. So is Valor actually, it's not a mix. It's not an invented name by Young Living. It's the name of actually a tree.
No, it's a blend of about 6 different oils, 5 different oils, which are a bunch of tree oils like spruce, rosewood, blue tansy, and frankincense are what's in Valor. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And all of those oils separately are awesome, right, for the same kind of purposes. And Gary just mixed it all together. It's a whole beautiful story how that oil was actually created, but that would take us the whole podcast.
So that's the thing is, at the end of this podcast, let's talk a little bit about, that the reason why quality is important, so that people can understand the value in also the cocktails, like the blends, but also the differences in qualities and things as well. So before we do that, let's move on then to, let's just say you've maxed your morning, you're feeling amazing. Like you've had your essential oils going, and then you get to lunch and you go out to lunch, and some people may eat a little bit too much. Some people may eat not healthy. This podcast isn't about, perfecting that. This podcast is all about the food. I mean, not the food. This podcast is all about the oils. So let's just say you go from someone who's a health fanatic to someone who's going to go and eat at somewhere, a fast food place, whatever. It's irrelevant. What happens is you come back. You may have eaten too much. What essential oils can they have, and what can they do to then not need to go to sleep on their desk while they're digesting their food?
Well, because you can't concentrate if your stomach's inflamed, and for myself, that was a life. I just always felt like looked like I was 6 months pregnant every time I ate, right? And so there's another blend Young Living has, it's called Digize. So you think of digestive, right? Digize. And it's a blend of essential oils as well. And it is amazing. Like, that oil was one of my first oils that really made me understand the power of how these could help. And you can just rub it on your belly. You can breathe it in. There's something called a scent tent. And so you would just put a couple of oils on your hand and rub them together, and then just put them over your face and do some deep yoga breathing, some belly rest, right? In the society, we tend to breathe from our chest, not from our belly, right? And do some good belly breaths. That can be really, really helpful. But as a singles, one of my favorite one is actually fennel. Fennel is fantastic. And if anybody's ever, they might be familiar with that because grandma might have told you to chew the fennel seeds after supper. Well, it's the same thing. Fennel for years has been used to help with digestive issues. And that's my favorite one as a single to have people use because it's not strong. A lot of people will use peppermint, and you'll see a ton of stuff on the internet about using peppermint. And if you have any kind of acid reflux or you have a history of digestive issues, you need to tread carefully with peppermint because it can be too strong for you. And so that's why I like fennel, is because it's much more mild. It just doesn't have that kind of overwhelming feeling for most people.
Interesting. And so let's just presume that some of the listeners here do have, digestive issues when they either overeat or eat the wrong foods, but they might not know what those foods are, so they just put up with it. When you use these oils, do you use it once and you're like, wow, or do you need the consistency with oils?
Well, that all really depends on what's going on, right? Sometimes you can just have one application, but when it's something like, well, for me, usually one application does, it works with DiGEs whenever I have a flare up, because I'm celiac as well. And so if I accidentally get some cross contamination, I get really, really sick, right? And so I'll go to DiGEs to help with that. Or another blend Young Living has called Deep Relief. And so as part of my celiac disease, I get this, terrible bowel cramping in the hours after, where right away I might get some massive diarrhea and stuff like that. But after I get this, the next day or later in the day, I'll get this terrible cramping. And Deep Relief is actually really one that most of us use for muscle issues, right? After you've worked out in the gym or whatever. But it is amazing for the digestive muscle reaction and in that to calm down and relax those muscles and relax your hippocampus too, right? Because essential oils do some magical stuff in the brain, which we won't go great into because again, it'll take up too much time. But it helps to turn the switch off, right? And allow that your brain to change directions almost.
Yeah, interesting. I think that's just, once you delve into this whole world of how our bodies are interconnected, I do think it's a funny thing how we tend to think that muscles are just in our legs and our arms and our abs. We forget about the muscles in our brain, our digestive system, and how everything is kind of expand and contract. I mean, how else do you think you poop? Expand, contract, contract, push.
Exactly. Once you think about that, it's like, oh, well, why would it not work? Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember being really, really sick at an event one day, and all of a sudden I got hit hard, and I could barely stand up. And I was going around to all the people I knew and asked them what oils they had, if they happened to have this, because I didn't have the one I thought I needed. And one of the ladies at a vendor booth, she said, well, I have Deep Relief, try that. I'm like, why would I try that? Okay, sure, I'll try that. I'll try anything. I'm desperate.
And so
and it was just like, boom! Wow, that worked.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is it like a kind of a valerian? Like what kind of calming oils are in that one?
In Deep Relief, there's some mint. I think there might be. I can't remember. I'd have to look on that one. I can't remember for sure. But yeah, Copaea is another really good one that helps with a lot of that kind of stuff because it doesn't have much smell to it either, and so when you're, in the workplace and you don't want to smell like something, then it's a really nice one because it's much more mild. People don't even smell it. Like a lot of people shy away from lavender, which lavender is amazing. It helps with all kinds of things. It's like, we often call it the catch-all, right? The 101 thing that one thing that can help with absolutely everything is lavender or frankincense. Those are the two most versatile of all the oils around, but they can be kind of strong, and men quite often don't want to run around smelling like a pretty lavender.
Which is why I think that essential oils is so fantastic, because some people don't want to smell like it. And so that's where the diffuser is brilliant, because you don't even have to go anywhere near it. Everyone needs to breathe, and you're just breathing that in. Yeah. So, there's if you want to give it a go and try its effectiveness, it doesn't have to actually change anything that you do. You just have to take that conscious effort to go and get it, or tell your boss to go and get it. Hey, I saw this podcast, can we go and invest in this? It will be a maximum of like $100 for the diffuser. And then, these small investments per week or per month for specific oils. And that hits everyone. So
yeah, and each oil has a different frequency, right? And so that's why I like Valor's, because Valor has a little bit higher frequency too. And so it helps to elevate your frequency. And so if you have an oil that's a higher frequency going in the diffuser, everybody just seems to be more productive. It's just a magic how it happens.
And you don't even actually have to say to someone, hey, do you want to take this? They're breathing it in, so it's becoming them without necessarily them saying, hey, yeah, I'm into that. You got someone that wants to eat at fast food joints the whole time, put a diffuser on in your office, and they actually will be able to increase their productivity because they just inevitably end up feeling better because they're breathing it in.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's a magic potion. And so, moving on to that classic afternoon energy slump. I mean, I know that when I used to do one-to-one consultations in nutrition for, high busy execs and things, that I very rarely came across anyone in the working environment that wasn't like, give me that 3:30 to 4:30 energy slump. Oh, no, that doesn't affect me. It affects nearly everyone. And so then we talk in the world of well-being often about, go and eat this kind of food, or, make sure that you've got, the fats and the fibers and the sugars, but with this and this and this. But actually, you don't have to talk about food to be able to not have that dip. So let's talk about the oils and how, if someone doesn't want to have a snack or they don't have it available to them, how can essential oils help to avoid that energy dip, which is also a productivity dip?
Yeah, I would always in the afternoon, in my diffuser when I was in the office, I would just put in some of the citrus oils, or maybe a couple of drops of citrus and a drop of peppermint. Those are fantastic oils for brightening people's moods, energizing. Peppermint's really great for energizing you. I even like when I'm driving in the car, I always keep peppermint around. And with peppermint, you want to make sure if you're applying it on your face, you don't get too close to your eyes, because it's attracted to moisture and you might get kind of like, watery eyes. So you want to be careful. But I often put just a tiny little drop underneath my nose. And when I'm driving, if I've gotten really tired, or I have a diffuser, of course, in my car, and I throw some peppermint in it when I'm driving a lot, and just helps to waken you up. But all citrus oils help to make us feel happier and brighter and more energetic, right? And so those are great ones to go to. They're great ones for your kids when they need to study and be more alert. They're studying. So that's a great one to put in the diffuser for them as well. And almost everybody likes citrus. Like there's an odd person that has citrus allergies and things like that. But most people like the smell of citrus. It's just as fresh and clean, right?
Is there a link between if you have an allergy to a certain thing when you consume it and then inhaling it in vapor? So, for example, lemons. Unfortunately for me, in the world of well-being, I can't personally tolerate lemons. Any single time I eat lemons, I get mouth ulcers. It's the most annoying thing because lemons are so amazing. But does that mean that then I could not have a positive reaction to citrus if it went in a diffuser, or is it unlikely because the molecules of consumption must be going in?
Actually, there's in other things it wouldn't be, but in citrus is an exception there, because citrus essential oils aren't actually true essential oils. A true essential oil is distilled. But citruses are actually cold pressed. So they take the rind and they cold press out the essential oil. So it's actually more of a absolute, I think, is the right terminology for it. We often still call it essential oils because that's just the term that people understand. But in truth matter, there still is a protein molecule there. And so if you have an allergy to citruses, you could still have an allergy to citrus essential oils. And they use citrus essential oils in everything, like pops and lemon and lime soft drinks, and any kind of natural flavors of lemon and lime are actually essential oils that they have used for that. And almost all, other than if it's artificial, right? But any of the natural flavorings, that's just an essential oil usually that's in there. But you could still have a reaction to it. So it just all depends on how sensitive your body is and that kind of thing. But if you have an allergy to cedar, you aren't going to have an allergy to cedar with essential oil because there's no protein in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important that everyone understands. And the other thing that's really important that people understand is 99.999% of people don't have a citrus allergy. I just happen to be a lucky one because I did too much at a time when my gut wasn't great. And so now it's still, that's my philosophy on it anyway. We won't go into all of that, but
that's the amazing thing about allergies though too. I used to have a lot of seasonal allergies issues. I've spent a few times in an emergency and stuff because of it. And as I healed my gut, those allergies disappeared. So now it's been this is the 6th spring since I started this journey. And for the last, I think 3 or 4 springs, I have not had to have anything. Even the essential oils. I used to make sure that I always carried a roller bottle with lavender, lemon, and peppermint in it, just in case I had that feeling. But now I have to be careful because I don't think I have it in my car anymore. And I probably should, just because I might sometimes, someday need it. But I haven't needed it now for 3 years. So, so I've gotten lackadaisy on having it with me all the time, right? Yeah, but once you heal your gut, because that's where that reaction is actually really coming from, right? It's coming from our immune system, which our gut is in charge of.
Exactly. So here we go, guys, full circle. I think that it's so important to understand, like the bigger picture here is that if you want to really get to the root of anything, you go through the gut. But not everyone's at the point where they're ready to do that. And when you're not ready to go the whole hog or dive in, there's still so many things you can do. And not only that, you can do this as a personal journey, but you can also do it as a team thing. Hey guys, let's up our performance. Let's do this, or we can see that Johnny over there in the office is always slacking off at 2 o'clock till 5. Well, let's just put some essential oils on. It's going to help us all. And, I think that's I love essential oils. I hardly know anything about them, but, I know more and more just because I'm interested in it, but it never entered into my nutritional degree for some strange reason, actually. It's kind of on that periphery. The herbs did, but the essential oils didn't. And I just think they're so powerful, but I think there's such a fantastic potential starting point for people who think, I want to do something, but I'm not ready to change anything. And then you start with that as a first step, just to sow that seed of let's do something good for myself or good for the people in my office or for all of us. And then I think it's really important to kind of notice the difference. Notice the little things that you're like, I don't know what you think of them, but it's kind of like, is that coincidence? I think, yeah, and that's what happens when you are actually improving yourself from a biochemical level, from a point where, it's not just having a painkiller and something gets better. You're actually, your body, your whole body at a cellular level is doing good. And that's when you go, did I notice that? Oh, yeah, I had a good day yesterday. Well, it could well be the essential oils. So Yvonne, I know that, we've talked about kind of the basics of what people can do in the office, and also the fact that you can put it on your body, you can rub it on, you can put it on, some leather, you can have a diffuser, you can put it on your feet, you can put it in the car, or, whatever it is. You are, a big advocate of Young Living. Part of your business works a lot with the essential oils of Young Living because they're so pure. But, kind of just before we end the show, do you want to just give a kind of, why, what the quality difference is? And so why, for example, you can get essential oils in the supermarket? What's the difference?
Well, the big difference is quality. What people don't realize is, unfortunately, in all, as far as I know, almost every country, the European Union has things a little more organized than North America. But still, even there, they can call something pure, but it isn't actually pure. Most essential oils are actually made by adding chemicals to the batch, right? To the water and to the molecular compound, so that they can extract more oil from it, because they're looking at getting the most amount of oil from the plant material as possible, because the more the oil they can get, the more they have to sell. But unfortunately, they're putting the chemicals in there, which the chemicals are part of one of the reasons why we feel so sluggish in the afternoon, why our gut is in a problem, because everything we do, like those chemicals are killing off our microbiome. They're interfering with something called the endocrine system. People could Google that. But if you just Google the endocrine system or endocrine disruptors, you'll find some great stuff. There's a place called the Environmental Working Group that has a ton of awesome information on that. And those things really are affecting our hormones and just the way our body works in general. And so just by making one switch from using a plug-in artificial fragrance to using a pure essential oil, you can find that you might notice some very, very significant differences in both your productivity, but also in just the way you feel. So that's one big thing. And then even then, when you're actually just diffusing it, there's this massive science behind it. Like Gary kept incredible records, and he still does. All of the farm managers keep incredible records, and they diffuse that oil for the exact amount of minutes, not over, not under, because they know that it takes so long to take out all of the properties that they want. It's not about how much oil they extract. It's about what properties the oil has that they get. And if they over or under it, they start to go the other direction, and they miss those therapeutic properties that the oil that they expect to have, and that we as their consumers demand to have, because that's what makes it work.
Exactly. And so how can people know though? So can, for example, do you just know the same way as you know with a vitamin? So for example, a vitamin C, some vitamin C's can be made from corn. Well, that's not actually bio available to you. You're taking a vitamin C, but it doesn't, what does it become after you actually take it in? And that's a cheap vitamin C. Whereas a real vitamin C is a whole nother cocktail of absorption and benefits. And so yet it's not stated on a bottle of corn derived GMO vitamin C, hey, this is derived from corn. Is there any way other than going with a trusted brand, or do you need to go with a trusted top quality brand like Young Living, who that's available globally as well? So you connect with Yvonne. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can receive it. Is there any other way of knowing other than knowing the right brands to go with?
No, you just have to do your research on, or find somebody you trust that has done their research on the brands, because there is no regulation that they have to stay with. And of course, if there's not a regulation, there are a lot of companies that just aren't going to do whatever they want to do. Young Living created something called Seed to Seal, and again, it's not regulation. It's just they had to find a way to promise their consumers what their standards were going to be of. And so they took their standards and they created something they call Seed to Seal. And that's their promise to us as everybody who uses their product. And they keep their farms, they're all open. So like they own their own farms, or we do have some partner farms, but all the partner farms have to meet the exact same standards as our own farms do. And they're all open to the public. So if you're on holidays in China and you want to go check out the factory there they make Ninja Red, you can do that. If you're on holidays in Croatia and you want to go see how heliocrystalline is made, you can go do that. You can go onto the website and you can book a farm tour and anyone farm. You don't even have to be a member to do that. And that's their way to hold us, ability for us to be able to hold them accountable to what they promise they're going to do.
Amazing. I love that. I think that that's so important, actually, because you're not everyone can see everything.
Yeah, and the competitors all show up at the farm quite often, and that's okay too.
Exactly. What is competition? If you're doing something amazing, there's no such thing, right?
Yeah.
At competition, and that's what we're talking about before as well. Yvonne, I personally have learned a lot, and I loved, your wisdom in the subject. You clearly have a huge amount of wisdom to give, whether you, the listener, are just listening to this as a 101. Let's see how I can start creating some form of well-being in the office, some form of effort. See, it can cost barely a cent, and you can actually impact everyone. And or whether you're someone who actually really wants to delve deeper, because we haven't gone into this today, but Yvonne really is, the gut repair guru. And if you go on to her website, which is, ta-da, Yvonne?
yvonneking.ca.
There you go, yvonneking.ca. She's in Canada. But it doesn't matter where you are in the world. She's in Canada, and she can reach you, and you can reach her regardless of where your geographical location is. And she has so much to offer, from essential oil through to gut, through to, is that the dog? Yeah, I love it. See, he's coming. Give me my oils. She can just connect with you. So Yvonne, there's Yvonne King .ch, that's Switzerland where I am, .ca. But how else can they connect with you? Are you on social media as well?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram mostly. Those are the two I'm most prevalent for. But for people in other countries, I'm on WhatsApp and Signal and all those things too. So
amazing. And we have very generously been given from Yvonne today an amazing PDF download that you can download. So we are going to put it here, in the podcast for you to be able to access and to really gain a foundational knowledge of, what you can do to empower you with essential oils. But then, second level, if you want to go deeper, connect that to your gut health, which then stems into everything else in your body, up to your brain and to every cell.
Yeah.
So, Yvonne, thank you so much. And do you have any parting message that you want to say, or knowledge tip, anything before we say goodbye?
Just, don't make it complicated. Just like I said at the very beginning, Gary Young always said the best way to use the oils is just open the bottle, right? Don't be scared to try it, and reach out if you have any questions, because I know there's a lot of misinformation in the world. And that's just understanding where that comes from, and the background behind it, because there's different kinds of oils that were used for different kinds of purposes. And so that's why there's always so much confusion in the world. But just reach out. Sorry, Sally's. Just reach out, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And as time goes on, my website will have more and more information on it too. There's a little bit of information on there now, and as we keep going and growing, there'll be more and more in the blog and stuff as well.
Excellent. He's saying enough. Thank you, Yvonne, and I really look forward to learning more myself. And, for everyone out there, you may see Yvonne again. You may see her inside the portal, and you may see her on other podcast shows, because I think it's been a fantastic show. So I hope you've all got a lot out of it. Thank you for watching the Wellbeing Portal podcast, and we look forward to being with you again. Bye for now.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Thank you. Bye.